Today we're going to be unboxing not one, not two, but three statues of Madara Uchiha. A huge shipment of statues just came in, but out of them all, I'm most excited about this one right here, made by ZH Studio and is in quarter scale, so it's going to be a big one. I'm also giving away all three of these minifigs as seen here, as well as you can choose one of these slabs in the back of a graded card. Just leave a comment below, let me know your thoughts on today's statues. Which two of them are going to bring to life two very iconic scenes in the series as seen here. One where he faced off against a ton of shinobi, the second being when he first appeared in the actual war. It's not often statues are brought to life from scenes, usually they're just artistic representations, but not these two. Here is the base. It's all mainly one piece. We have some ground, some rubble, rock, debris. We have a giant root that's popping out of the side on the right. Some Susanoo effect pieces, as we see here. Some of them were sculpted onto the base, while we have a few like this one right here that were sculpted separately, but great quality on those. Here's a giant piece of one of the roots that's going to be popping up off the top. They did a great job with this like moss effect on here. You can actually touch it. It has a nice little texture to it. And if you're wondering why the base is so big and bulky, it's to counteract the characters on top and be sure that the statue doesn't tip over. Very much needed for this one. And we have an optional nameplate here with the Uchiha clan symbol and also his name on the front there. So you can put that on there if you want, or you can just totally remove it because it's not stuck on there. A surprise package was in the package with the studio logo right here, and it's this box. Opening it up, we'll see all sorts of goodies. We have an art print on the left. Over here on the right, we have what looks like to be like a, it's a brush to clean the statue from dust if you want. There's some gloves on the right to handle it with care. And then we have all sorts of like the edition size, the cable to power the LEDs. Interesting stuff. There's a stand for the edition size plate, the steel plate itself. It also looks like it came with a remote, likely for those LEDs as well. And on the bottom here, I'm curious what the heck this is. This is like a crystal rectangular cube type thing. So oh my goodness, it's one of those things where they like etch a design inside of the glass itself. So let me get the wrapping off of this and take a look. And there's actually some LEDs that power this thing that light it up. So I had no idea what they were going to include something like this. Has the actual screen or shot from Madara in the series. So neat little freebie they added in there. Never seen a studio do this ever before in my whole time collecting. This is what I was after though. I want the cable to turn those LEDs on and show you those off. This one is powered by a USB to an AC adapter. An on and off switch is also on the right side here. And we'll grab that remote and show you there is a few effects they put in here. If you press it once, it does just turn them on with a static look. If you press it twice, there is a breathing effect where it slowly goes from low to high. And the third one just has it kind of blink. Not my preference at all. So we're going to go with static for the review. Also, you know, how they're illuminated is these little spotlights are shining up through the clear resin effects. Up next is going to be the main body for Madara. Quite a few pieces were sculpted separately, but a lot of it is together. We have this steel rod on this leg over here and a notch and a steel rod in the other. Both of those rods are very important to keep him sturdy. I'm guessing it's sculpted through the leg, like there's a rod that goes all the way up the leg. Details are incredible. They went with like a darker look here, almost scene accurate from the series. We see his armor sometimes being bright red, sometimes a darker red. So this one is the more muted tones to bring to life the battle that he was in the war. I just realized as well, it's not a steel rod in the left leg, it's actually an AC adapter, so that's going to be lighting up something eventually, and we can see some of the weapons scattered about that I did install off camera. We got some katanas, some shurikens, some kunai, all over the place. And here is the armor flaps that are going to go on his body, kind of the waistline area. Really some battle damage done here. I love the paint job, kind of the darker muted tones really do look good on this statue. This left armor piece was a little bit more trickier than the other ones. I always take it slow because if you break something on a statue, that is no fun, and resin statues are very fragile, so that can happen pretty easily. They had this hand over here that was sculpted separately in kind of just a relaxed standard position. The shoulder armor is very similar to the others where it just has that piece that sits up more vertical to protect the neck, and I love the more classic OG armor in the series. It gives a more shinobi or samurai feel to it. Now the arm or hand over here is sculpted not to where we can install it easily. It's going to be attached to a completely different body, the random cloud shinobi that went toe-to-toe with Madara. Can you imagine the stories that this guy would tell for like generations to come? Like, when I was young, I went toe-to-toe with Madara and lived to tell the tale. For real though, other Shinobi just got completely obliterated in seconds. He got the opportunity to be choked and asked a question by Madara. Jokes aside, this is an amazing sculpt by them. Carries the likeness to the character exactly from the series. I love it's crazy how they have like the marks around the neck as well. You can see where he's actually choking him, the indents there. So an amazing sculpt by the studio. I love that they did feature a different character. You don't normally see like I don't want to call this like a 1v1 battle, but you don't normally see battles, scenes, or moments brought to life this accurately while still getting to represent the actual main character in the statue. So happy though with all the different steel rods they use because the integrity of the statue will hold up over time, and the feet were sculpted separately. You can see some of the armor there. Just the details on this statue are just top notch, 10 out of 10 all around. I always love it when they sculpt parts separately like this because there's no risks of breaking when things are shipping. So we had this arm that was completely sculpted separately. You can see the grip. He's going to be holding Madara's wrist, obviously trying to break free, and the other hand as well is just sitting there struggling. I had to give you a different shot of this to show you the perspective of the choke Shinobi here. Poor guy, I wish we even had his name. What are we going to name him? We're going to name him Dan. Dan the Shinobi, who lived to tell the tale, toe-to-toe against Madara. And the giant mane of hair with a face attached to it, Madara himself. I always have to be careful when unboxing statues for him and Jiraiya. The points at the end always end up stabbing me. I have cut my finger quite a few times with them poking me, but glorious head sculpt. You know, as expected so far. We've seen the quality and detail by ZH Studio before. He does look a little bit younger to me, but still great. We have kind of a glossy glassiness to those eyes, so I think that's where the LEDs are going to be lighting things up, but super careful. We'll install this in there, and there it is. The LEDs for the eyes do light up for the statue. So I gave you Madara's perspective before, but now let's look at Dan's perspective. What is he looking at? Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. The other eye does light up as well, hidden by the hair. An iconic look by him, but an incredible statue bringing to life this scene and moment. I promise you 3 statues, and this next one is going to be Cartoon World Studio. Quarter scale Madara comes with 2 different variants that you could order. We'll showcase both of them so you can see what they look like in person. Another big one for sure. The base is coming in with a Susanoo. Love the theme of this one. All their base themes look incredible, but bringing to life kind of a partially formed Susanoo there. We can see the eye, the Tengu nose popping out on the side, and the effects and clear resin quality is always top notch for Cartoon World. They never, ever disappoint from a studio. It always blows my mind how the studio is able to ship something this fragile with all these pointy pieces and it still does arrive safely. On here we can see the Uchiha clan symbol. On the right we can see a footprint with a magnet at the top there, and also the notch on the left side, so that's how the main body is going to connect to it. Now this one was sculpted quite differently from the other, where we have the complete lower torso, the legs, all sculpted separately. You can see that magnet there, and the bottom here has the notch and steel rod, so amazing detail, tons of texturing that goes into this one as well. That's the thing that you get a lot of times with quarter scale statues. The larger scaled versions is they're able to bake in some of these details that you wouldn't normally see in a show or series. Just like the other statue, we have the armor flaps that were sculpted separately, tons of great, amazing details, and they did go with the brighter red look for the armor, while compared to the ZH Studio had the more muted red. Both, I think, very accurate, just different depending upon the scene and moment in the series and the lighting. This flaps give me a little bit of trouble, but there it is in there. And there are, as I mentioned, multiple options, different ways to display. The first one is going to be probably the most iconic with him and the arms crossed. We saw that in the series. I love this one, how imposing it feels. Perfectly captured on their end. And again, we have all those quality details. That notch in the back is going to be for the giant war fan that will be installed on there. And of course, the shoulder armor pieces were sculpted separately, so we'll get those installed right on there. Very nice. Spinning him around back, we'll take a look at that notch and the giant war fan again. This thing, I'm so sorry, alone, it's like 1.5 feet long for this entire thing. Huge. The handle, huge. The actual fan, it's incredible to hold this kind of stuff in person. Makes me think, like, if this is how big it is in quarter scale, I can't imagine holding like a life-size version of it. But there's the notch, the keys into the back, amazing quality as per usual with them. Spinning him back around, here's how that looks, bringing to life that moment when he's standing on top of the rock, looking down upon the Shinobi Alliance before he jumps down and dances with them. So here's the hair for this one, a little bit less spiky to the touch, so this one not as dangerous. Here's the head sculpt for that. The other one looked a little bit younger, while this one looks a little bit older, so I can't tell you which one is best. I think it's all a preference-based thing. Both of them do look amazing and incredible. No LEDs for these eyes, but here he is as if he's looking down upon, again, the Alliance right before he goes toe-to-toe with everybody. Now, here's the third statue. So what it came with is a bust, like a Rocky type bust, kind of similar to the bottom of the base for the main statue. Have that notch on the top. And what it is a different torso was made. The upper torso for this one, we can see the Hashirama cells going crazy. We got some body damage going on there. And also his eyes do have the Rinnegan in them over the Sharingan we saw before. So an incredible different option available that's going to really just bring the statue to life in a very different way. So we have the War Fan that we saw before, but there's no notch on this one. Why? Because he's actually going to be able to hold this one as well as the sickle that he has as his weapon. So crazy amount of details go into this one. They look real. Thankfully, they're not made of metal because they would be a little bit too heavy for their hands to hold. So they are still made of resin. But here is how the War Fan does slide in. Very tricky to get the right angle to where it kind of leans and stays there by itself. Same goes for this one. You have to get the right angle so it does rest into place. But all together, here is how menacing and crazy this statue, this version of him looks. If you've made it this far, you're a real one, and I have some news to share with you. Next month, I'm going to be doing an event at a public location where my collection will be on display for all to come visit and see. I'm going to be giving away tons of statues. Look forward to, again, the next video that'll have all the details on where that's going to be. It's going to be in the state of Pennsylvania, but can't wait to share with you and see you in the next video. Do what you love and love what you do. Bam out.